So here we are, with our various colds and sicknesses. So my usual method of sermon preparation is that I read the passages a number of times, and then I wait for the Holy Spirit to give me a sermon, and then I speak it. And it's not much of a method, but it usually works, except when it doesn't. And this was the doesn't week. And I worked far harder on this sermon than I usually do, and it still isn't a sermon. So I'm just going to walk through these passages a little bit and see what happens. But I'm don't put your hopes too high here. Transfiguration. So Moses goes up on the mountain.
Can we just have a moment of prayer for the Spirit to descend? Lord, bless him.
If you don't like what I'm saying, pray even harder, right? Yeah. So Moses goes up on the mountain, and he's going there to encounter God. That's what he's doing. Now, God has said earlier, so God said, look, I can come down, and I can talk to the people. And the people said, oh, no. God, you just stay up there. It's a very different concept of God than the one we're used to. Right? I mean, we spend all of this time in church trying to invoke the presence of God, trying to encounter the presence of God. And the Israelites are just the opposite. They're, no, God, you stay up there. Right? And part of it is because when God comes down in the Old Testament, nasty things sometimes happen. Right? Bad things happen. God is a terrifying God. And so, right, there's not a lot of desire to encounter God. So we're going to send somebody up, and if something happens to Moses, well, that's just one. Right? And everyone else will be safe, and we'll just go on there, I guess. Right? So it's a very different idea. Right? And so Moses gets transfigured, but that's not what he goes for. He doesn't go, oh, Lord, transfigure me in thy presence and stuff like that. He goes up there to get the law. He goes up there to get the divine instructions about how to live as a people together in the presence of God. Recognizing that God's presence is supposed to be well away, and there's good news there, right? Because the point isn't this encounter with God. The point isn't, this great mountaintop experience, right? And the point is not we all need to do this. In fact, that's just the opposite of the point. The point is, no, you don't need to do this. You just need to sort of go on with your ordinary lives and live in peace with each other and in justice. And if you do that, that's all you need to do. And if you're doing that, that's all you need to do. And that's really, really important to think about this when we go toward Lent. Because for many of us, right, Lent primarily means guilt. Right? We've got 40 days to feel guilty about pretty much everything. 50 or 60, I don't know how long it is, but it's a long time. Right? And no, that's not it at all here for Moses. It's just that there's some stuff we need to do, and we should keep doing that. Jesus, on the other hand, goes up the mountain to pray, which means that he goes up on the mountain to encounter God. He is not afraid of God. He is not worried about this encounter. And it would really be nice to have a video of that. Because, or at least a transcript. Jesus went up on the mountain to pray. What did he say? How do you, right? What does this look like? And maybe he didn't say anything. Because quite often in prayer, words just get in the way. Words are just ways of not really getting there. And sometimes they are. And so if you're praying and the words aren't coming, that's great. Don't worry about them. Right? The words are just signs and symbols, and God knows the reality of things. This is a very interesting passage to read right before Lent. We've been walking our way through the book of Luke. We're sort of in chapter 6 somewhere. because this is Luke here in the lectionary. And suddenly we're jumping ahead to chapter 9 here, and then next week we're going to jump ahead to the death of Jesus sort of stuff. Right? And so this is a bridge Sunday. And the bridge comes because Jesus goes up on the mountain, encounters Moses and Elijah, and speaking about his departure, which is a very, euphemistically, a very nice way of saying what is about to happen to Jesus. Right? In being nailed on a cross, the word that doesn't come immediately to mind is departure. Lots of other words come to mind sooner. But it leaves us again open to imagine this conversation. Right? Jesus, Moses, Elijah. And they're talking about his departure. Hey, Jesus, going away soon. Yeah. Not going to be fun, is it? No. No. But, right, departure, which will soon be accomplished in Jerusalem. The psalm confused me this week, too. The psalm that Axel read for us is all power and might. Right? And it makes sense with the Moses stuff, because the God of power and might is up there on the mountain, and we don't want to encounter him, so we'll send Moses instead. That makes sense. But Jesus goes up on the mountain, brings a couple guys with him, you know, but it's all really low-key. There's not a lot of God of power and might here. And in fact, what's about to happen, his departure in Jerusalem, is specifically not about the God of power and might. But the God of power and might does not show up at Easter. Jesus dies. He gets tortured to death, and the God of power and might is conspicuous by his absence. And so I always wonder who put this lectionary together and why. But some just didn't fit this week. But in any case, I think it's important to know that this transfiguration, whether of Moses or of Jesus, was never the goal. Moses didn't go up on the mountain to be transfigured. Jesus did not go up on the mountain to be transfigured. This just was a result of encountering God. This is what happens. And then Jesus comes back, Moses comes back down the mountain, and the whole golden calf thing happens, and so and so Jesus has the same sort of thing happen. He comes back down from the mountain, and some guy in the crowd says, "Hey, I've got this sick son, and your disciples can't heal him." And Jesus, like Rachel said, sort of loses his cool at this point. He doesn't lose his cool very often, but you faithless and perverse generation, not a good thing. I'm guessing you don't know a lot of songs based on those words. You faithless, and it just doesn't work, Right? It's not the Jesus we want to sing about, but it's the real one. And right, and then it's like this great big foreshadowing thing. How much longer must I put up with you? Not much. Or still, depending on how you see that. Right? That Jesus is still putting up with us. Us, the faithless and perverse generation who, let's face it, we don't do a lot of casting out demons. So here we are in our sickness and failure. So we're moving toward this season of Lent. We're moving toward this time we're going to start walking with Jesus toward Jerusalem. And we will remember along the way the Palestinians who can't walk this season toward Jerusalem because there's a big wall in the way. We will remember the folks in Congo who can't walk anywhere without being in danger of being shot by people we don't understand for reasons we can't comprehend. And we will remember the folks in Morgantown who can't afford to walk to Jerusalem, can't afford to fly, and aren't sure where the next meal is coming from. They're going to walk with us too. And all these people are going to be walking with us toward Jerusalem. And we want to do that as intentionally as we possibly can. So let's sing a song that sort of gets us heading in the direction of Lent. I was very curious because Mary Angel chose this song, which is not folky in my brain. And it has been covered by folk people, but it's just, so we're just going to sing verse 1 because it gets really dark. And we don't want to go there today yet. But we want to sing O Sacred Head Now Wounded and go from there to communion. I think this is going to work.